Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. Listen, I was so busy chatting. Yes, I'm doing it live. I didn't put my lipstick on, y'all. I was so busy chatting with our guest for this week. I forgot to put my lipstick on, so it's halfway on. But here's the thing I'm so excited about. Her content is so yummy that I was like, girl, we got to go live. So every week, I'm here to give you insight to number one, help you get clear on what your brilliance is. You know that God created you to do one thing in this world. And when you do it, there are people that are waiting for that genius in you. The second is a value tied to it. And then the third is how do you create multiple streams of income from it? So as you come in, number one, those of you that are here with me week after week, the first thing I'm gonna tell you is don't come to this house and not speak. That's what my grandmother would say. So at least say hello, tell us where you're from, number one. Number two, as our guest for this week pours into you and brings her brilliance to the stage, to the virtual stage, if she says anything that resonates with you, if she give her some heart emojis, put some fire, she's stepping on your toes. Because the reason I bring these guests in to pour into you is not for who you already are. My goal is to hold the space that you go after a level above which, matter of fact, is to go after abundantly above all you could ever ask or think. You ready? You got your pen? So, our guest this week is going to do just that. So, I want to introduce to you India Hall. Now, India is known as the ultimate realtor. She is a residential real estate expert with nearly 19 years of experience. India and her team, she got a whole team, guide sellers, buyers, and investors. Now, mind you, she didn't just say sellers and buyers. She said, and investors. From consultation to post closing with the highest level of client service and business integrity. She covers our team is based here, but they serve people all over the country. So although she might talk about just DMV, I want you to know if you have needs outside of this arena, don't think she can't help because she can. She has a team all over the world. India is an accredited buyer's representative, ABR, certified by the Center for Specialized Realtor Education, a real estate negotiation expert, come on now, certified by the Real Estate Business Institute, and, as if that ain't enough, a short sale and foreclosure resource, certified by the National Association of Realtors. She has a bachelor's degree a bachelor's of science in integrative studies and accounting, and a master's of science and accounting. So not only does she know about real estate, but this girl knows about how to count your money. Come on, y'all. Her knowledge of numbers, millions, matter of fact, in real estate sales, means that she has many satisfied clients, and her expansive reputation as one of the top real estate professionals in the DMV makes her a powerhouse in the real estate industry. So y'all put your hands together and help me welcome Miss India. Hey, girl.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. That was
I
a
didn't laugh me put on my lipstick because listen, we were having such a great conversation. I'm like, oh shoot, it's time for me to go live. Hello, I forgot to put my lipstick on. So,
you look beautiful all
but
the
I want y'all to
time.
know I'm transparent. I don't mind if y'all see me put my lipstick on. So with that, India, let's get into this great conversation. And again, you guys, if you have questions, now first, let me say this. Many people think they know the real estate game because listen, this is a game changer. And many of you don't. I don't care if you already have a home that you own. I don't care if you're thinking about it. Okay. So most folks are fearful. And sometimes I don't even think it's fear, and it's also a lack of knowledge
Correct.
about real estate.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about real estate in the COVID world, because it's a
Yeah.
whole nother thing now. So what have you seen happening, or what will happen if like our market crashes like we've been hearing that might happen?
Yeah. So let me just say, our market is not going to crash. I don't believe that there will be a crash, right? And listen, every market has its ups and downs, right? Like the real estate market is never consistent, and you don't really want it to be, right?
Mhm.
You want it to have some ups, you want it to have some downs, because at any point, you it doesn't matter what the market is doing. Everybody has a starting point in the market. And
Mhm.
so you want to see the market, navigate and do its own thing. So COVID really did a number on our industry in real estate, and it made it really crazy. It made prices go up. Sometimes 24% people were seeing on their returns on home ownership, and that was a great thing. I mean, especially for people who owned real estate at the time, right?
Mhm.
Getting into homes during that time was a little bit challenging, but it was great because interest rates were at an all-time low. We were seeing 2% interest rates, 2.5, 3. I mean, that's amazing. It was a great opportunity to refinance and all of that stuff. So that's why I say just always be ready for real estate, because we never know what the market is going to do. We can't really predict, right?
Mhm.
So when people think it's going to crash, what they're seeing is just us coming down from this COVID high, right? We're coming down to what has been normal,
Yeah.
right? So now we're at interest rates of 5.5%, right? And this is normal. I mean, we had 5.5%, pre-COVID, right?
Mhm.
Like years before, maybe 7 to 10 years, ago, maybe a little longer than that. I mean, this is still great. 5.5% interest is, I mean, I think we all sometimes as human beings find reasons to withdraw from what really should be happening. And I would say, yes, interest rate is always important, right? But it's not as important as owning real estate, right?
Mm.
So don't let interest rates deter you from home ownership. Don't let interest rates deter you from buying an asset,
Yep.
right? Like the asset is the focus.
Yep.
The interest rate is the bonus.
Oh, that's good. That's good, y'all. Somebody needs to write that. The asset is the focus. The interest rate is the bonus. And at some point, when the interest shifts again, because it will, you can refinance and get it
That's
lower.
yes, that's
But
correct.
the thing I want to have you guys really think about this. And yes, I'm interrupting her because she's gonna keep going in. So don't worry, she's not done yet. So I want you guys to really think about this. I think COVID brought to all of our realizations, or got us all to think about, I should say, how we wanted to live. So I want you guys to think about this for a minute. What is a quality of life for you? So if I tell on myself in full disclosure, how I met India is, many of you guys that have been following me know that I lived in Massachusetts. One of the things that God did in the middle of COVID is move my husband and I to a place we both love. So I met India in that journey, and learning and mind you, we owned 3 properties when I met her, and I'm not trying to brag, but it was a whole learning curve in COVID on how to do what we wanted to do so we had the quality of life we wanted to have. So I want you guys to think about that. And as she gets ready to share this next piece, instead of you being fearful, I want you to think about what would investing in yourself look like. Not in the person that owns your apartment or owns the house you're renting, but what would it look like to invest back into yourself? So, India, tell us about home equity. I think so many people, especially Black folks, because this is Black doctor, so I'm gonna say it. I think many of us miss this because we didn't grow up learning it, and other communities learn this and teach it to their next generation, and we just didn't know it. So tell folks that don't know about it the benefits of home ownership and about home equity.
Oh my God, equity is the key, right? Equity is how you build wealth. So let me just take a step back and say what equity is, right? And I'm going to probably throw out some numbers just to keep it simple, right? Um, Equity is like your bank. That's like your storage. So remember, when you're purchasing a home, you're buying a home at the value it is today, right? Like you're buying a home today, that's the value today. Um, and now just say you were buying, and I'm just going to throw out just simple numbers, a home for $100,000, right? Now each month you're paying, just say your mortgage is $1,000. That $1,000 is comprised of a couple different things. It's principal, it's interest, it's property taxes, it's hazard insurance. So like car insurance, you have hazard insurance, where like if there's an accident or a fire or something, you have hazard insurance. And then in some cases, you have mortgage insurance, and that's just to protect the bank that's lending you the money, right? That also goes away, but we won't go into that much detail. So you have 5 parts to a mortgage payment. What we're going to talk about is the principal. So just say you have this $1,000 payment. Just say like $750 of that is the principal, right? And I'm just throwing out numbers. This is not accurate, but I just want to give you an idea. So your $100,000 property that you purchased, with each payment, you're reducing what you owe, that $100,000, by $750, because that's your principal that you're paying, right? You're reducing that amount that you owe. So with each one of those payments, just say you were paying rent. Just say you were paying rent of $1,000. You see that money go nowhere. This mortgage that you're paying, 750 of that is reducing the loan that you have on the house. So that's one way to build equity. You're building equity by your payments, right? Every time you make a payment, you're building equity, right? It's building a bank. The other way in which you build equity is the increase in the market. So that's why I say it's the market having a crash in the market really don't be scared by that, because as long as you own your asset and you're not really ready to sell, you just sell when it's high. You can hold your asset during a down market. I mean, I've done that before, right? Like sometimes it's just not the right time to sell, and you just hold your asset. But as long as you have the property, you have the opportunity to be financially great. So again, you have that $100,000 property, right? And just say now COVID hit or COVID didn't hit, right? Now the property is worth 130,000, right? So you have 30,000 equity growth in that property because of the market itself. But then you also have this reduction in principal that you're gaining as well. So one is going down and one is going up. That middle point is your equity, right? That's how much money you have. That's your gross equity. So that's your bank, right? That's your bank. And you can borrow from that. You can borrow from that. And, or if you decide to sell your property, that's kind of your gross amount that you'll have in your pocket.
That's so good. So listen, y'all, for those of you that are numbers challenged like me, because you heard me talk about she has a master's degree and a bachelor's degree in numbers pretty much. So what that means to me, okay, is if I buy this house at this price, okay, I'm gonna make it really basic, right? For those of you that got lost, because I get lost in numbers. And maybe you don't, so I'm just repeating this for me then. You buy the house here. So every month you're paying toward this amount. So at some point, that great divide gets smaller. But then let's say you decide to sell your house. Now your house is not worth here, it's worth up here. So you're going to get not only this, so when you sell it, depending on how much you sell it for, you not only make the money back that you put in,
right?
That gives you more extra. So in other words, you make 30,000 extra. So if you owe money in the house, of course you're going to pay that off, but then all the extra is money in your pocket. So whether that goes towards your next home or you're investing in some other way, but this is how people do in the stock market too, where they buy stock, they sell stock, and then they buy other stock. So look at your house like a stock that you own, that you get to decide. So even if I use myself for an example again, my husband and I moved to Massachusetts in 2006. Well, we know what happened in 2008, the big crash, the last one. Okay, so we just sold our house in 2000 and what year am I in? 2021. It's 22. Like, what year is this? So in that time, our house almost increased double. So I'm sharing that with you because I could have been afraid in the middle of 2008, but because I sat on my house for however many extra years, y'all, I just said I can't count. So however many extra years that is in between is how my house grew in equity. So when you start looking at things you want to do for your future, you want to retire with a nice fruity drink in your hand. How do you grow that equity? So in addition to that, let's talk about uh, how easy ways that you can get into the market. And I know it's not what she calls it, but this is to me easy ways, because there's all kind of ways you can get into the market that people I think don't talk about a lot. And I read in your bio, and I've seen you do this, the whole foreclosure expert. Looking at just all kind of other ways to get in the market if maybe you already own a home or a condo and you want to do something different. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. So everything is based on your own personal journey and what your expectations are and what you want to accomplish. If you need some help with that, I'm here to here to help you navigate through that process.
Yes.
If you don't own a home currently and you want to own a home, I say the first opportunity you get to purchase, whenever you're financially ready, whenever you can qualify for a mortgage, which is the first step, and to see what you qualify for, look at the inventory of the market and see what's available to you. I mean, you could qualify for a house, you could qualify for something like a townhouse. Like, it just really and I say don't be afraid of condos either. You want something because something is going to build you equity. So it doesn't matter what you get. Each market is different, right? In the DMV, condos are great, right? There are some opportunities where condos can be a little tricky, but that's what your agent is here to navigate you through that process. I say any opportunity that you get to be a homeowner, you definitely want to seize that opportunity.
Wow.
And I say, and I have a lot of people who come to me and they want lavish their first time. They want lavish. I want a single family home. I want a huge yard. I want 10 bedrooms, right? But their financial situation doesn't say that. And so they pause because it's not what they want.
Yeah.
But that's a mistake. Don't don't you don't have to go hard the first time. You have to get in, because as we mentioned before with equity, that first property, because my first property was a 1 bedroom, barely 500 square feet condo, right? Like it was so tiny. But
Mhm.
you can, when you sell that, you build equity. And so the very first time that you buy your house, right, you're probably going to be taking your hard-earned money, right? You're going to be taking your working dollars to pay for that, right? And there are things that you can do to get into. There's some programs and all of that stuff, right? But you're going to be taking your hard working dollars. The second time you buy a house, if you sell your first house or what have you, you're going to be taking equity, right, to buy that. You're gonna be taking, so you're not, it's not your hard-earned dollars anymore. So
Right.
get in, let that equity build for you, and then go to the next step,
And,
because it's easier the second time around. It's easier the third time around. The first time is the
mhm.
hardest.
And I think the other thing people sleep on is when you buy multiple properties, even if they're small, like she said, 500 square feet. Like my friend's son, he's in his 20s, okay, bought a condo in the DMV.
Mhm,
Actually, it's in Maryland, and he literally, it's a duplex. I
mhm.
think it's actually a house. It's a duplex. So he rents out the other side. Do you know the mortgage or the rent he charges the other side pays for the entire
Oh,
mortgage? So he doesn't even pay rent. And he's building equity, meaning that as the house grows in how much it's worth, first of all, he's not paying his mortgage, his renter is, number one.
yes.
Okay. Number two, as that house grows, his investment portfolio is growing and he's buying other property. I'm like, dang, I wish I'd known this at 20. So, in other words, somebody else is paying for him to live. He's not even
Yeah.
paying for himself to live.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, there's so many ways to do this. The thing is, you just have to set aside your fear. You have
Yeah.
to set aside your fear and strategize,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yep.
an excellent example. That's an excellent example.
Getting with a professional like India that can help you. You don't have to know all this stuff.
Yep.
You don't need to read a book. Dare I say, you don't need to go on the internet because it's none of those places are going to tell you everything. That's someone that is on the ground, has boots on the ground, can tell you because they're in the industry. So I'm trying to see. So can you explain the cost to purchase a home? And the reason I'm saying this is because many of you, especially single women, and I have a lot of single girlfriends that were afraid, and then they realized how easy it was. Once you know, then you know what you need,
Yes.
and they went and purchased their first. Again, it doesn't have to be a home; it could be a condo, a townhouse. But again, you're building equity for yourself as you do that.
Yep. Yeah. So the cost to purchase, there are a couple different components. I'm going to break them down just for understanding, right? You have, most people hear down payment or, zero down, right? Zero down does not necessarily mean no money out of pocket, right? So you have your down payment. Your down payment is um, your investment in the house, right? That's your money out of your pocket, your investment in the house. So
Mhm.
let me give you an example. The bank will, in most situations, the bank wants you to be invested like they're invested, right? We're going to use that $100,000 example again, right? So $100,000 house, the bank is going to give you 97%, right? 97. We're just going to use basic numbers, 97%. Right, but it's not $97,000. You're going to pay $3,000. That's your down payment. That's your down payment, right? Now down payments are 3.5% on the sales price of the house, but we're just using flat numbers. And then you have your closing costs. Your closing costs are the costs associated with the purchase. So that is um, you have your property taxes, right? You're going to pay those in advance. In some cases, you're going to pay those to build your equity in future, not your equity, your escrow. I'm sorry, in future months, and I can explain that. So you have your closing costs. Those are your costs for the loan. Those are your costs for title work, which is basically your attorney to transfer clear title from the current owner to yourself. So that's like the legal side. You have your insurance costs. So all of the costs that are associated with the purchase itself, the property. You have your transfer and recordation taxes. Those are like sales tax. on a house. So just say you bought some sneakers, right? The sneakers are $100. You're going to pay 110. That $10 is the taxes, right? So real estate, there's also sales tax, but we call it transfer and recordation. You're going to pay that. So those are all a collaboration of what closing costs are, right? So you have your down payment and your closing together. Those are your like settlement fees. That's what you come to the table with, right? Then you have what we call EMD, or earnest money deposit. That is a deposit that you make when you write an offer on a property. So you go, you make an offer on a property. You say, I love this house. I want to make an offer. With that offer, you put down an EMD, or earnest money deposit. That money goes towards your settlement costs at the end.
That's so good. Wait, by the way, that's like layaway. How many of y'all remember layaway back in the day when you see outfits you really like? They don't have, I don't think they have layaway anymore. And you say, I'm gonna put some money on it, but I'm gonna go and work out the rest of the finances and come pay all of it. It's the same kind of concept. Is that
Mhm.
you're saying, hey, I'm putting some money on it. That's your earnest money deposit. Show it in good faith.
Yep.
I want this house, and I'm gonna go finish working out the paperwork with the bank
Yep.
and the other folks. Go ahead. Sorry.
Correct. No, that's right. That's right. So they just want they want again to see that you're invested, right?
Mhm,
So that's your promise essentially.
mhm.
And then so we have down payment, closing cost, earnest money deposit. Now two other things that I just want to share. Home inspection, right? So when you buy, and home inspections are optional, right? You don't have to have them, but I recommend it because this is, a property that you're buying and it's a huge investment. So
Mhm.
it's optional. There's a cost associated with that as well. A couple of $100. I mean, I want to say generally it could range between, $300 to $600, depending on the size of the house. And they basically go through and look at the structural, mechanical, the foundation of the house to make sure all of your electronics work. Like they give you a report of the house, the condition of the house. You can find, I mean, I always tell my clients, there's always going to be something that comes up in a home inspection, right? No
Mhm.
house is perfect. Not even my new construction clients, they have things that happen with their stuff too. So I recommend a home inspection. So you have your home inspection. The home inspection is a non-refundable cost, right? You don't get that back if you decide not to buy the house. If something comes up in the house that you don't like, you don't get that money back. So it can be a lost expense, right?
Yeah,
But
but at
it's
the same time, I'm gonna say this because I've had some home inspections, and when you find things are wrong, you can put that into the negotiation of the house. Meaning that I'll buy this house if you fix these 5 things that we found in the home inspection that are wrong. So then you don't pay for it when you move in.
Mhm.
So I want you guys to get that although you're paying for the inspector to find these things, it's a benefit to you because you could either say, I want out of this contract because this house is a hot mess, too much stuff wrong,
Right.
or here, let's negotiate because I'm not paying for all this stuff that's wrong with your house. To me, I'm like, you knew it was wrong. Why you didn't tell us ahead of time? Right.
Right. Correct. So, and everything in real estate is a negotiation factor. Like you can always come back to the table.
Mhm.
It all depends on how you're writing your contract in the beginning, right? So, and that's what you want to talk to your agent about, like how much flexibility you have as a buyer, all of that, right? So then we talked about home inspection, and then the last thing is the appraisal. So the appraisal, it tells you it tells you the value of the property at the time you're purchasing it. And honestly, the appraisal is really for the bank. The bank wants to confirm that they're lending you the right amount of money. They don't want to pay you more than the house is worth. They don't
Right.
want to give that to you. So the appraisal is really for the bank. If they're gonna there's a, and each one of these, like the home inspector, this is a third party professional that's coming out. The appraiser is a third party professional that's coming out. So you have many people that are touching your transaction as you navigate through your purchase process. So the appraisal is ordered by the bank. It's ordered by your lender, who's helping you, get your financing. Um,
Mhm.
they're ordering it, and the appraisal comes out. The real estate agent in our market is not really even supposed to have any contact with them. They'll call us. They'll ask for access and things of that sort, but we're not supposed to influence that in any way. We want them to have the value of the property the right way for you. Um, and that it also that cost, I've seen them about maybe $600, and it really doesn't depend on the size of the house.
Right.
That's just a flat fee. And then also it's non-refundable. If you don't buy
Mhm.
the house, you don't get that money back either.
Yeah,
So
but at the same time, you guys, these are all things that you invest when you are looking at how do I find that property that's going to pour back into me. And I'll be honest with you, even the home I'm in now, when we got the appraisal, it came in a little under what we paid, and we negotiated to get that money back.
yeah,
So there's all kind of things I want you to get. And so India is a wealth of knowledge. And somebody asked where she lives. So she's based in the DMV area, but she services all over the country. So don't feel like, oh, well, I don't live in the DMV. She can't help me. That's not true. So tell them the free gift. Those of you that want to get into this whole game of being in real estate, tell them about this gift and how they can. And by the way, obviously, when you go to this place, she's gonna. Well, I don't know if this is where they can find you and
yeah.
talk to you. So tell them that too. Contact you
Yeah,
as
so
well.
all of our information is here. My team and I, dmvhomesearcher.com. On this website, you can search for any home, whether it's a bank-owned property, whether it's a foreclosure, whether it's a short sale, whether it's a standard purchase. You can find all of these opportunities here on DMV Home Searcher. Also, if you have a home currently and you just want to know the value, I mean, if you just want to know how much equity I have, like how you want to understand where your home is priced at versus what you currently owe on it, you can go there and you can enter your address there, and then it will give you a home value in like 30 seconds, right? We can follow up with you and we can share with you what your equity looks like. So sometimes you'll know the value of your house, but you don't really know the equity. We're happy to help you understand that as well. So that's
And then,
where,
sorry, go ahead. That's where.
no.
Go ahead.
Yep. So that's what you can find at DMV Home Searcher.
What I was going to say too is even with that equity, those of you that would want to really get into the real estate game and you want to own your second and your third, there are things you can do with your equity to get you into that second or your third. So
Yes.
again, go to this website. If you know, like you know, that it's time that you've been wanting to buy a house or you've been thinking about how do I get my second piece of property? How do I look at the equity? All that. Everything is there for you. And again, you don't have to live in the DMV for her to serve you. All
Yes.
right. So
Correct.
with that said, India, you've given us such a wealth of knowledge. Some of y'all are going to need to watch this twice because she gets excited because this is her judge. That's why I was stopping and explaining because I remember when I met her, I was like, okay, girl, say that again. Because it's all good. She's excited. So some of you guys, I want to encourage you to watch this a second time because she's dropping so many gems that people do not tell you about the gift of home ownership. So as we're wrapping this episode, anything you want to say in closing?
I just want to say thank you, Nicole, for the opportunity to share. I mean, real estate is really my passion. Numbers are so the collaboration of numbers and real estate. I mean, I really feel like the real estate journey, owning real estate can make you a millionaire. Like
Yeah.
people don't know that. I mean, your net worth, your owning real estate, and the increase in your property value and your equity, it can help you be a millionaire. It's it's just that simple. It helps the average person, like the everyday person who's working and that 9 to 5 and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. It helps you build wealth. So don't be afraid. Don't be
Yeah.
afraid
And
to
then just another quick story. Just when you just said millionaire, one of my girlfriends bought a condo when we were 18. I thought she was crazy. I'm gonna be honest, because I had never heard of buying stuff back then. And that condo she bought at 18. Now she's refurbished it. She still lives in her and her husband now and her teenage daughter that just graduated from high school. It's a $1.5 million condo. She bought that condo for probably like 150,000.
yes.
So now it's over $1 million just because she sat on it like for over 20
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So I want you guys to get what she's saying is real. I've seen it happen over and over again. So thank you, India, for your passion. Thank you for coming in to share. Thank you for and listen, Kathy, her name is India Hall. So those of you that missed parts of this, go back, watch the beginning. And Nini said, such an inspiration. Thank you both. You are so welcome. So thank you, India. And again, those of you that know, like, you need support, you've been thinking about getting into the real estate game, go to dmvhomesearcher.com and allow India and her powerhouse team to serve you. So again, thank you, Miss India. I appreciate you, girl.
Thank you, Nicole.
So that's it for this episode. Every week we come in to share insight so that you can begin to learn all the ways that you should take your money and make it work for you. Because I want you to get this. For me, when I'm talking about profit, the word profit means gain. The more profit you make, think about what that does to your life. Now, I'm not talking about your Louis Vuitton or your Gucci or your Mercedes. That's all great. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the way you can bless your family, your community, the world when you make more money. Even looking at people like India, the passion she has, the reason she can serve more people is because she has a team now. You know why she has a team? Because she's making more money. So the way you gain when you make more money has a affecting a long-term effect on more than just you. So as we have these conversations week after week, I really want you to ponder how your money is making meaning in this world as you do more and be more. So with that, of course, I'll be back next Thursday with another episode. Until then, have a phenomenal Thursday and enjoy your 4th of July weekend. And for those of you that are here watching live, and as you look at independence, I want you to think about the fact that we have our own free will given to us by God. And as we begin to activate our gifts inside of us to go after the profit that's attached to it, how us living in that freeness then gives us the ability to choose how we profit all those around us. So, how will you profit the world with your genius? That's what I want you to think about this weekend, all right? So, with that, have a phenomenal rest of your day, and I'll see you next week for another episode of Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. Bye, y'all.